So I've heard a lot of rhetoric recently that I've found drastically misinformed about the impact that words have in terms of harming another human being. Hashtag triggered. Okay. Ugh. Let's get into it. Ever had someone say something absolutely vile to you on the internet? Like YouTube comments, Twitter threads, Facebook posts? Sure you have. I mean, you're here, ain't you? Sometimes it's just like, your opinion, man. But other times, the shit can cut deep. Whether or not the person who said the thing meant for it to cut so deeply. Some folks definitely come off as though they absolutely wish to destroy you emotionally, but others may simply lack awareness of just how words can deeply disturb those who suffer from certain conditions related to trauma. So in the spirit of hashtag Mental Health Week, I thought I would explain some of the reason why words can hurt, and how we should handle the situations to avoid causing pain to those recovering from trauma, and offer advice to folks that, well, give a damn about other people. Now, I have PTSD. For those who don't know, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. So there are words, smells, actions, and other things that can trigger a flashback, anxiety attack, or even a bout of major depression. I can have someone say something that hurts me so badly that I struggle to function for weeks, if not months at a time, depending upon the context, what the trigger is, and who is engaging in the conduct. I also have social anxiety and a moderate case of agoraphobia. Leaving my house is stressful, and I don't really feel safe anywhere, especially lately, but home is the closest thing I have to safety. Naturally, it's difficult for me to find any sort of social interaction aside from social media. Most of my interactions on here are positive, but once in a while I will run across some bully who thinks it's perfectly okay to spew hateful garbage at me. When I tell them they should do better, usually I'm met with, "You shouldn't be on the internet then," or "just get thicker skin." Whatever the fuck that means. I love how abusive fucks always dodge the fact that their behavior is awful, and it's always someone else's fault. But gaslighting is something quite common for abusers. What I said and did wasn't that bad. You're just being pathetic, weak, or histrionic. Look, I know I can be a bitch or an asshole, but you're an XYZ, etc., and so on. So, for me, the best thing to do is to cut these sorts of people out of my life, especially when I see them act this way toward others. And I know this sounds weird, but hear me out. If your friends do this to other people, they will do it to you the minute you call them out on it. They will. I speak from personal experience. So, please, mark my words, and pay attention to how folks treat their adversaries. In my opinion, my number one duty is self-care. I cannot be there for anyone else if I'm dysfunctional. So, it's very important for me to cut out any source of dysfunction from my life. It's good for me, and it's good for the people in my life as well. So, paying attention to behaviors that I find triggering, even when it's used by my friends to other people, can definitely be a problem. Especially when I come to that person and I try to explain, and they just say basically that they don't care, usually. But anyway, back to why words can hurt. Ever hear of emotional abuse? Oh, it's a thing, and a thing being studied more, which is absolutely a step in the right direction when it comes to preventative measures toward abuse and the strive for human flourishing. I provided some links in the description to show just how much words can hurt and to kind of explain what PTSD is and the effects that trauma can have on a human being. If you disagree, then you disagree with the science. Plain and simple. Here's an example published in PubMed from researchers at Purdue University. When hurt will not heal. exploring the capacity to relive social and physical pain. Recent discoveries suggest that social pain is as real and intense as physical pain, and that the social pain system may have piggybacked on the brain structure that had evolved earlier for physical pain. The present study examined an important distinction between social and physical pain. Individuals can relive and re-experience social pain more easily and more intensely than physical pain. Studies 1 through 2 showed that people reported higher levels of pain after reliving a past socially painful event than after reliving a past physically painful event. Studies 3 and 4 found, in addition, that people performed worse on cognitively demanding tasks after they relived social rather than physical pain. Implications for research on social pain and theories about social pain are discussed. Now, imagine you're a young child being yelled at and emotionally abused. This is a time when you're developing key aspects of your emotional pathways of the brain and associating memories of that time to certain words also banked in your memory and linking them to the traumatic experience of a parent calling you names, yelling profanity at you, or tearing down your abilities as opposed to building them up. Young children are not equipped to understand why they are being hurt this way, so they can only assume there's something defective or unlovable about them. Now, this is a very harsh experience and one that is difficult to break away from. Imagine the intensity of emotional abuse being paired with physical or sexual abuse as well. Imagine a victim of sexual assault being told it's her fault because of what she was wearing, or being intoxicated, or just being a woman who dared to walk to her car alone at night. Hearing the same rhetoric can make trauma victims relive the experience, often with the same fear and physical reactions to a harmful situation, just by hearing these same words and the same rhetoric that blames her for her assault. Now, this isn't about victim bucks and virtue signaling, but rather about focusing on human well-being. And if you care about human well-being, you'll fucking listen. Be better to people by trying your best not to abuse them. If you truly are a person of virtue, ethics, and morals, you will not engage in abuse, online or otherwise. It's that simple. I do want to point out that there are a ton of differences between bullying a person and calling them out for awful behavior. Lots of folks, when called out for being abusive to people online, will accuse the folks that called them out as abusive to the abusers. This is a big time what the actual fuck moment when this occurs, but nonetheless, friends of these folks will nod in agreement and further the gaslighting ritual. It's a toxic environment to be in. And honestly, a break sometimes is necessary because there's absolutely no end to the mob mentality once this begins. But don't fucking tell people they don't belong on the internet. The ignorance of such a statement just reeks of sociopathy and overall lack of true contemplation of the matter. Just because we have traumatic experiences doesn't mean we should lock ourselves out of the way of connecting with information and other people. Perhaps those folks who claim this should just stop being abusive assholes? Maybe. Anyway, I wanted to share this information and my thoughts because I feel awareness of this stuff is important. I'm tired of seeing this rhetoric. I'm tired of seeing people say get thicker skin or don't be on the internet if you can't handle it. It's not about that. It's about people not being assholes. Do better. And I'm not being abusive by saying do better. I'm just saying do better. It seems there's a lot of rhetoric that touts disinformation and nifty little sound bites that are doing a lot of damage to discourse online. Once again, let's be better and end the stigma of PTSD sufferers of being weak, thin-skinned, crazy, or just wanting victim bucks. Let's be better and let's end the stigma of PTSD sufferers and the like of being weak, thin-skinned, crazy, or just wanting victim bucks. Let's understand that we can best help one another through empathy and understanding the neuroscience of trauma. Know yourself, know your limits, and stay snarky. It's been an issue that I've seen, well, basically my whole life, really. I mean, ever since I was a toddler, I've had to deal with this.
Figuring out boundaries, and setting them, respecting them, these kinds of things. So, a major portion of our self care is to hold boundaries when we're in relationships with others and offer reciprocal respect for their boundaries as well. Now, not only will this boost our confidence to lay out our boundaries with others, but also offer a character building opportunity. We can reflect upon how to better listen for other people's boundary declarations. And this is a good thing. This is maturity. Now, in order to treat others with autonomy, dignity, and human decency, respecting boundaries is definitely a key element. It's a utility not only for one on one relationships, but also for larger entities like governments or smaller cooperatives or even the workplace. For example, if somebody tells you, if you're at work with somebody and there's a coworker that's always like touching you, whether it be inappropriate or not, uh, and you're not comfortable with that. So you express to them, hey, it makes me uncomfortable when you touch me, when you come up and touch me. It's perfectly fine for you to set that boundary. And if they still continue to do it, then it's on them once you have expressed that. And if they continue to do it, if it's like an accident and they forgot, then okay, then let's learn from this and not do it anymore. But after a while, it becomes harassment, right? It becomes going too far with it. I've had this happen to me at work before, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. So, like I said before, you have to respect when people say no. And it's perfectly okay for you to say no if necessary. Pardon me. Now, do not allow people to guilt you away from setting a healthy boundary. This is something I see happen a lot. If you tell people no, they'll push back or they'll make you feel guilty for not allowing them to do the thing that they want to do. And this is disrespectful. There is absolutely nothing wrong with setting healthy boundaries. Absolutely not. It's the mature choice to make when a situation has caused you discomfort, emotional or physical harm, or sometimes it can lead to even worse situations. I watch a lot of crime shows, so yeah, especially about like stalking and, obsessions and things like that, because I find the psychology behind it interesting, but also it's a learning experience for me. Now, if someone says no, or they say they don't want to talk to you, respect that. And if you also respect yourself enough to say, look, I'm done with this. No means no. The line must be drawn here, no further. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Being assertive is a good thing. It's protecting yourself and your interest. And I think that that's something that people, a lot of people, especially myself, have we don't really we tend to think that if someone is assertive and they're asserting what is comfortable for them or what they don't like, then they're being rude. And that's not the case. They're just expressing their boundary, and this is a good thing. So, yeah. What do y'all think?
Boundaries are definitely necessary.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, they're very important. I mean, if someone says stop talking to me or stop touching me or anything like that, and you continue, you're kind of a douche canoe.
Kind of.
See, and we grew up with no boundaries. Like mom was pretty much access to everything. And so like as an adult, like I'm trying to still learn how to set boundaries with certain people and crap like that. It's all a learning experience.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like, and we have a lot in common in terms of how we were raised and the environment we were raised in. So, like, it's really difficult to learn that it's okay to be assertive, to say no, because when you're raised in an environment where there is no no, there is no privacy, there is no boundary between you and that parent, that can be a big struggle. And it's a struggle that I've had to go through big time. It's a big lesson I've had to learn. So, and I think that a lot of people, they haven't had that deep kind of uh, opportunity to learn, hey, just how bad that can be.
Mhm.
And they really haven't learned uh, just how important it is to respect other people.
Definitely. And I'll like to relate this to some other issues like trans issues. There's some basic boundaries that people should know. Like it's not okay to ask what someone was born. It's not okay to ask what's below the belt or anything along those lines.
Ew, why?
It's not okay.
Ugh.
And I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of times people will say, well, I respect boundaries, but they only respect boundaries when it's someone they're friends with. And it's important for us to realize that you need to respect boundaries even if it's someone you don't like.
Yes.
So, like, for instance, situation, I'll just pull this one out of the blue. If let's say you're having a conversation with someone and you don't realize that that person uses different pronouns, and then they tell you that they do, and you're already in a fight with this person, it's still the right thing to use the pronouns.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like you can still absolutely despise someone and give them that small, simple amount of respect and dignity.
Mhm.
So it's very important.
Yeah, the people you don't like are still human beings.
And
Mhm.
humans, like, we all have our bubble. Some people don't seem to have a bubble. I have a coworker that has to be like right in your face
Yep.
Oh, I hate that.
when they're talking to you. And it's like, if someone does that to me, I do not hear or understand a thing that they're saying. The only thing going through my mind is get the fuck back. And oftentimes, like, I have to tell him, you have to step back. There's no way I am going to get this if you don't step back,
Right.
because I cannot take you that close to my bubble. This is awful. So learning the boundaries of friends and people around you. Also respect the person who has the most issues with certain boundaries. So like in that situation, I shouldn't be the one that has to go, I just have to live with this person getting right in my face where I can
Right.
smell what they had for breakfast.
Ew.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like it's one of the least things that you can do, one of the easiest things that you can possibly do that has the best results for the person that you're with, right? Because it takes almost nothing to respect somebody's boundaries. And sure, you know, you can think of things like pronouns and things like that as sort of positive impositions on your character or whatever, but we should value people enough that respecting their boundaries is something that we do automatically, because like it's not that big of an imposition on you to not stand so close whenever you're talking to somebody, or to use the proper pronouns, or to, you know, not do these things. It takes almost no effort on your part, but the gain that the person that you're respecting is many-fold. It's a non-zero sum game, right? It takes almost nothing for you to respect somebody's boundaries, but it improves the quality of life of the person that you're respecting just many, 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 many times over the effort that you put in. And so I don't understand it, right? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me, because that's respecting somebody's boundaries is like the minimum of what you can do to be a decent person, right?
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
bare bones minimum.
Yeah, and you know, but sometimes it's a control thing. I know that's the way it was with Mom. She had to know everything and you know, be in our business 24 hours a day, and they feel like, oh, if you set that line here, I'm gonna go here and push it and see if we can push it more and more. So like that control aspect of it is horseshit to deal with too.
Well,
Yeah.
most people have a breaking point, and when
Mm.
someone is pushing your boundaries, they're edging you closer and closer to your breaking point.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it's a willful action on their part a lot of times. If they know that you don't like a certain thing and they keep doing it, they are trying to get you to explode. And even if you do explode, it's not on you. If you explode and get angry, that is because they've overstepped your boundaries.
Mhm.
I have people that really love the fact that I don't really like being touched all that much. Part of my having autism is that I'm very sensitive to touch, especially touch that I don't know is coming. And so people that I work with, they've pretty well stopped doing this, but for a long time they just thought it was the greatest thing in the world to walk up behind me and put their hand on my shoulder because it freaks me out. And eventually I just started pushing back and I started yelling at them, telling them to get the hell back and that I was done with this. And they finally got the idea. Some people still try to do it every now and then, but then they kind of remember as soon as I
It
start to
sucks
raise
that
my
it had
voice.
to it sucks that it had to go that far,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that really just you see it time and time again when, like, especially when a relationship is being broken off and it's just, "That's done, that's it, you've crossed the line. I want no more contact, respect that," and then somebody continues and continues and continues with the drama. That is not a person of good character. That is not. And if you care about your character at all, you will not do this. You will respect the boundaries that are set by other people, even if you hate them, even if you're so mad at them for X, Y, and Z. It does not justify pushing the boundary and not respecting the other person's autonomy.
Well, and a lot of times on social media, here's something that'll happen. I'll tell someone, I'm done with this conversation.
Mhm.
And they keep it up.
Mhm.
And I'll reiterate several times, I'm done with this conversation. I am not talking to you anymore about this because we are not going to get anywhere. And other people will go, oh, a block's coming. You're getting ready to be blocked. And chances are they probably are getting ready to be blocked because I'm just fucking done with it.
And, like, what's the big deal with the blocking thing? Like, ugh,
Who
come
knows?
on, y'all. There's a reason. It's a utility. And that utility is for people that fucking don't have the decency and respect to shut the fuck up and not tweet something. How difficult is it to not tweet? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know what's funny? What I realized? I remember saying we should probably try and not use the F word as much. And I've been using it like crazy because I've been drinking. Oh, yeah, but respect people's boundaries.
A special thank you to all my wonderful patrons. I really appreciate your support. Also, like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss another snarky video. Don't forget to know yourself and stay snarky.